episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America. Welcome to Quilt with the Stars. I'm Mary Fons, and I'm here with Amanda Murphy. Welcome, Amanda Murphy.
Thank you.
I first met you at Quilt Market.
Yes.
And I saw all of your lovely quilts, and I thought, wow, she's really neat, and you were really nice.
Oh, thank you.
I remembered, I love that lady's quilts, and she's so nice.
Thank you very much.
You're a fabric designer and a quilt designer and an author as well. And today on this segment of Quilt with the Stars, we are gonna do our trunk show. And it's a great opportunity to just let you brag, honestly, about your about your work. I mean, we all work so hard, and this is a moment for you to like show off a little bit what you've made. Let's take a look at your patterns first. Tell me about what kind of projects you pattern and what's available.
Okay. I have a pattern line that goes under my name, Amanda Murphy, and I should say I designed for Blend Fabrics, a subsidiary of Anna Griffin. My pattern line, as a former graphic designer, and I still do a lot of graphic design work, and I consider the patterns to be graphic design work, I think it's really important to make things as clear and as visual as possible, because quilters are usually really visual people.
We are. That's our medium, visual stuff.
I try to make my patterns very thorough in terms of the diagrams. Everything's in full color. The diagrams show the placement of fabric. I just think that makes it so much easier when you're following the set of directions. And you can tell I like color.
Yes,
a lot.
You do,
So.
you do. And we have one of the patterns we have here on the right-hand side, or I guess the left as the folks are looking at it at home. We have that quilt right on top. We actually have a couple of these quilts with us today. But that
some
one,
of them
Blossoms,
with me.
is
Some
what
of them
we've
with
got.
me today. So Blossoms is a very colorful quilt, and what I basically experimented with was applique on a really big scale. And this uses a layer cake, 10-inch squares of fabric.
Boy, it's really big. We're like wrestling
we're never
with
going to
it.
get
Here
it
we
all
go.
up.
Here we go.
Okay.
You got it. All right.
There we go. So you can see it.
So cute.
It's basically experimenting with the objects being the ground color and letting the fabrics as the background shine.
Yes, that's it's different from what you usually see. I mean, a lot of times those applique ones are going to pop differently.
And I have one at home that I'm doing with cuddle fabric, so that should be pretty fun.
Very nice. It's darling. Very,
Thank
very
you.
cute.
Okay, over to the side.
Yes.
This features Bella, which is my line that came out the last market, and it's called Sunflower Row.
Amanda.
And it's a smaller quilt. And here what you have are very standard blocks, but the sashing actually has these trellises built into it.
Yes.
So it comes off as looking like the blossoms are strung on a trellis.
Absolutely. And this to me is kind of, and you say you experiment with lots of different styles and you don't really have one set thing that you do, but I would say this is kind of a quintessential quilt for you because it showcases all your fabric, but you have a lot of, I feel like, curly cues. You are a quilter who uses a lot of curved shapes and things, and your fabric and your quilting, they work together so well, and you design it that way, correct?
Yeah, I really like to, I love the traditional paisley, leafy motifs, very organic shapes, but I like to contrast that in my quilting with really straight lines.
Yes, that's it.
So.
Yeah, that's it. Beautiful.
And this is a large quilt, and there's actually, the pattern has a wall hanging size too, and it's called Palace Doors, and it looks like a French door. And the reason why I brought it is frequently my quilts will feature just a bit of applique, nothing so complex that you can't get it done.
Sure.
But you know, just a bit to break up those very solid geometric lines. And again, here are the door handles. This is based on a French door.
That's
and you can
fabulous.
see the medallions again serving as a border that looks more complex than it is.
Absolutely, because they look like they're appliqued or something, you know, something like that. That's yeah, you do. You have those geometric shapes with lots of those curly cues. You just want it all, don't you, Amanda?
Yes,
you
I
just want it
do.
all. Good, you can have it. You can have it all. When you make quilts as beautiful as that,
Well,
go
thank you
ahead.
so much.
Oh yeah, completely. Okay, now we're going to take a look behind us.
Yes.
Tell me about Bubbles.
Bubbles is just a fun quilt to do, and you can do it with scraps. You can do it with any size shape, and it's just based off a block that has 3 circles on it. And I should say that my mother and my kids helped with this one. My mother was visiting, and they were cutting out circles and arranging them on the quilt. What's fun about this is the contrasting thread, and I don't know if you can see that on camera, but a lot of my applique features a thicker, like a 28 weight, contrasting thread, just for some added sparkle
and
on the quilt. Yes, and texture. And I should say Deborah Norris quilted a lot of these quilts.
Just gonna ask you.
Not all, but I love her little rickrack and zigzag on this quilt. She's a long arm quilter in Gastonia, North Carolina.
That rickrack, yeah, that zigzag is great. It almost gives it a ruffle effect.
Yes.
And I have a question about the construction. Those bubbles are coming sort of through the window on the other side. When you have a bubble that's been cut off, did you just make the whole thing and then trim it down?
Yes.
Is that what you did? Okay, great.
Yes, and the great thing about those bubbles that bleed off the side is when you start to applique, it's going to be caught in the seam, so you don't have to knot it or anything.
Lovely,
so that's
lovely.
Great.
We like to find those shortcuts.
Yes.
And then over our other shoulder here, tell me about this quilt.
This is Fizz, and it's based, believe it or not, on one block that's just strung together, and it actually meets right there, and it's just, it goes down the quilt like that. This was piece for me and quilted by a woman named Cherry Goodry, who does cherry blossom designs, and I was on a deadline for market, and she helped me out. But it's basically a take on water and bubbles, and it's just a fun quilt. You can see a lot of my quilts have bubbles or circles in them.
That circle motif, yeah, it looks like soda pop. And before we go to the next portion of the trunk show, which is the sort of the holiday theme, tell me a little bit about green and how you use green and what someone said about you.
Someone said my favorite color was green.
They said your favorite, Amanda, your favorite color must be green.
My favorite color must be green because so many of my quilts have green. What's funny to me is I think of green as a neutral. It goes with everything. If you find the right shade, it goes with everything. So I don't even think of it as a color. I wouldn't, if someone said, what's your favorite color? I'd never think to say green, but it's probably true. I have green in a lot of my quilts.
You do. I had never heard of anyone saying green, I consider it a neutral, but what you said about it was so true. You said, I think of green as being in nature, and nature's all around us, so there's green everywhere, and we don't even notice it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So speaking of green and holiday and things like that.
Because green goes with everything.
Yes, tell me about the book.
Okay.
That's coming out.
This is my first book with C&T Publishing, and it's called Modern Holiday, and I actually have another book coming out in the fall.
Fall
called,
of 2013,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Called Color Essentials, and this book focuses on modern Christmas quilts.
Put it down here, great. Modern Christmas quilts and some small projects too,
yes, there are
right?
9 quilts and then 9 small projects, like a set of 4 stockings.
Sure.
And all different techniques in it. It's geared toward the beginner to intermediate quilter. Nothing in it is really difficult.
Great. Let's see one of these projects from the book.
Yes, this is called Holiday Wreaths, and here we have the very traditional Dresden plate block.
Oh yeah.
And what I did here was I took some very modern fabrics. And they're not even Christmas fabrics.
No, they aren't. There's some pink in here, and
they're just circles and circles. I like circles.
Circles, once again, yes.
And I backed it. I also did a little bit of trapunto work just to make the wreath really pop. So anyway, it was just a really fun quilt, and it's the perfect quilt for scraps.
Yes, it is.
You could do it with scraps.
Absolutely.
So.
The way that you've done the trapunto, I mean, that it would have been cute anyway, but it's really elevated with that. It makes you want to, cuddle up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a fun one.
Yeah. The only thing that would be better if it was like one of those calendars that there's chocolate inside.
Yeah.
What is it? The
chocolate
Advent
makes everything
calendar?
better.
Yes,
I think so.
It does. So, and now we've got, there was a story, your daughter was saying, I bet I know what the cover of the book is going to be, Mom, or which quilt is going to make
right.
it. So let's take a look at the one.
This is what I thought was going to end up being the cover, and that's kind of because it has a very graphic look. And in this quilt, this is Happy Holidays. It's called Trimming the Tree, I believe, in the book. It is really me experimenting with taking solids and putting them on top of a print rather than the other way around. Yeah. So I'm taking really big piece box, and they do have trapunto work in them. Nothing very complex, but I'm taking them, making ornaments out of them, and putting them on a very active backing. And there you see more dots and things that I pieced into the kind of free-form backing.
A perfect example of modern meets traditional, Amanda, I think. I mean, I don't know how you could get more perfect of a marriage than that. You have those sort of wonky, almost improvisationally pieced shapes back there. You have traditional, you know, those flying geese. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, the little fan units.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know, that's really what interests me.
Yeah.
It's like in interior design, you see that bridge of modern and traditional.
The bridge, I use that word a lot. And the quilt that made the cover of the book that your daughter was right about.
Okay, well, her favorite color is Aqua. So this is why she chose this quilt, and she kept saying that's going to end up being the cover. But this is called Holiday Force, and it's not as Christmassy as some of the other quilts.
Yep.
It uses a snowflake motif that I use on several projects throughout the book. And this is actually a really easy quilt, because the 3 trees just come in 3 different sizes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're strip piecing the trunks.
Yes.
And there's just 3 pieces to make the tree, so it's pretty basic.
You're right, it is basic. Now those little snowflakes up there, that's an applique.
That's a rayon applique, and I used it. When you get close, you can see I use metallic thread.
Great.
For the raw edge, just to add a little sparkle in it. But even that's not very complex.
Right, and there's no mistaking that this is a wintry quilt, a holiday quilt, but there's not much red to be found in it. Just your favorite green.
It's very restful.
It's very.
It's the analogous color scheme.
I love it. Can I take a nap now? we almost can. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on Quilt with the Stars. It's great to see your quilts.
Thank you for having me.
And AmandaMurphyDesign.com. Check it out. Thanks. This episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America.